This is Reddit revenge, and here's the story you don't want to miss. She thought she could play me. She thought she was in control. But what she never realized is that I was watching everything the whole time. This isn't just a story about love gone wrong. It's a story about betrayal, lies, and the kind of revenge that makes you smile every time you think about it. When I first met her, I thought I hit the jackpot. She was the kind of girl people would turn their heads for, smoking hot, easily a 9 out of 10. She had the looks, the charm, and even came across as intelligent. Conversations flowed so easily, like we'd known each other forever. Felt natural, almost too natural. Back then, I thought I was the lucky one. Little did I know, I was actually dealing with someone who would end up showing me just how deep deception can go. For the first 6 months, we hovered in that weird zone. Not quite dating, not quite just friends. Late-night texts, inside jokes, subtle touches that made my stomach flip. And then, one night, she dropped the bomb. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I love you." That word, love, hit hard, but I wasn't scared. I felt it too. And just like that, we were official. For the first year, everything seemed perfect. Or at least, that's what I wanted to believe. But here's the thing, perfection has cracks. And once you notice them, you can never unsee them. For a while, things stayed smooth. We laughed, we went out, we stayed up late just talking about everything and nothing. I met some of her friends, she met a few of mine, and to the outside world we looked like one of those couples you'd envy scrolling past on social media. We weren't perfect, but we were close enough. But then came the moment that changed everything. It wasn't dramatic at first, just me being a little playful, leaving a sweet comment on one of her photos on Facebook. Something small, harmless. I thought she'd appreciate it. Instead, some guy swoops into the comments and replies like he's claiming her. His words weren't just casual. No, they were laced with confidence. The kind of confidence you only have when you're sure of your place in someone's life. He actually called himself Prince Charming, and then said I was too slow to keep up. Red flag everywhere. See, it wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. That level of boldness doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from late-night conversations, inside jokes, and promises whispered when they think no one else is listening. I remember staring at the screen, my heart pounding, wondering just how much of a fool I'd been made into. Of course, I confronted her. What else could I do? And what does she say? The classic line, "Oh, we're just friends. We only started talking last month." But I wasn't born yesterday. I knew there was more to the story. Her obsession didn't stop with messages or social media rants. No, she escalated. Every holiday when she came back to visit her parents, she'd accidentally drive past my house. Sometimes she'd slow down, roll down her window, and just stare. Other times she'd blast music and speed off, like a teenager desperate for attention. It was childish but also unsettling. Friends warned me she was unstable, and I believed them. I remember one Christmas Eve, I was coming back from dropping off gifts for a client when I noticed her car parked down the block from my place. She just sat there, headlights off, like some kind of dollar store private investigator. Did she think she was intimidating me? Did she think I'd break down and give her money just to make her go away? She miscalculated. The truth was, I'd already rebuilt myself after she destroyed my trust. Compared to that, her little stunts were nothing more than background noise. Sure, it was annoying, but I wasn't about to let her think she still had control over my life. I ignored her games, focused on my business, and each year my company grew stronger. Meanwhile, I knew, deep down, her life wasn't going so well. She had tied herself to a man twice her age, thinking he was her golden ticket. But that ticket was already crumpling. He was sick, broke, and definitely not the fairy tale she'd been chasing. And when fate finally caught up with him, it would leave her exactly where she hated being most. Alone. It only took a month. 1 month of silence before my phone lit up with her name again. I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. And sure enough, when I answered, her voice was shaky, broken, laced with regret. She cried about how wrong she'd been, how that guy wasn't who she thought he was. Turns out Prince Charming had gotten what he wanted and then vanished, leaving her heartbroken and humiliated. Now, suddenly, She remembered just how much she loved me. Part of me wanted to hang up right then, to tell her to go cry to someone else. But another part, the colder, sharper part of me, saw this as an opportunity. I wasn't going to let her back in because I believed her. I was going to let her back in because sometimes the best revenge starts with patience. So I played it cool. I listened. I let her pour her heart out, swearing she'd changed. I told her, if we're doing this again, there's no turning back. No lies. No games. She swore up and down this time was different. She swore she loved me and that I was the only one. And while she was saying those words, I was already making my plan. Because if she was going to play me for a fool twice, I was going to make sure I got the last laugh. That's when Matt Vanguard was born. If you play Dota, you'll get the reference, a tanky item hard to break. Felt fitting because Matt wasn't real. He was my weapon. I built the profile carefully, down to the smallest detail. I found a stash of photos of some ridiculously handsome guy online, added a convincing backstory, friends, and posts to make it all seem real. If you didn't look too closely, Matt was the kind of guy girls would trip over themselves to meet. Then came the test. I sent her a friend request. Within an hour, she accepted. Within a day, she was liking his photos. Within a week, she was chatting with him late into the night. Meanwhile, she was texting me in the mornings about how much she loved me, how she'd never betray me again. Every "I love you" from her lips was another match I struck, waiting to set her lies on fire. And here's the kicker. I didn't even make Matt charming. I made him rude, cocky, even a little insulting. When she called him babe, he snapped back with, "Don't call me that. Got it? I'm not your babe." And still, she kept chasing him. That's when I knew. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about proving once and for all who she really was. It didn't take long before Matt had her wrapped around his finger. He didn't even try that hard. A few late-night chats, some teasing, a sprinkle of fake mystery, and suddenly she was the one chasing him. Then came the big step. She gave Matt her number. That was the green light. I used a burner app to set up a second phone number, so every call and text felt legit. Matt started pushing the idea of a date. Dinner, drinks, something exciting. And she was all in. The same girl who swore to me that she'd never betray me again was now rearranging her schedule just to meet a stranger from the internet. Meanwhile, I tested her as myself. I'd ask, "Want to hang out tonight?" And she'd reply with excuses. Late classes, extra activities, rides with friends. Lies stacked on lies. While she promised Matt she couldn't wait to see him. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just cheating. She was rehearsing it. Lying to me in real time while planning her fairy tale night with Matt. And I smiled, because I already knew how this date was going to end. The night of the date finally arrived. She was buzzing with excitement, texting Matt nonstop about how she couldn't wait. Me? I was sitting back, watching every word she typed, smiling at how blind she really was. Her classes ended late, and buses didn't run forever. Perfect. She told Matt she'd wait at school until he showed up. When I asked her, as myself, if she wanted to hang out, she lied straight to my face. "Sorry, I've got this late extracurricular thing. My friend's giving me a ride." Meanwhile, to Matt, she was all hearts and anticipation. But here's where the real fun began. Matt texted, "Running a little late. I'll be there soon. Just wait for me." Okay. Minutes turned into half an hour. Then an hour. Her messages shifted, first playful, then annoyed, then desperate. "Are you almost here? I need to know if I should catch the bus before they stop." And Matt? He turned up the act. "Sorry, had to work overtime. I'm leaving now." She believed it. She actually believed it. Sitting there, waiting, while every excuse dragged her deeper into the trap. I knew exactly how long those buses ran. And I knew exactly when she'd realize she was stranded. That walk of shame? It hadn't even started yet. Time kept dragging. 10 more minutes. Then 20. She sat there, refreshing her phone like her life depended on it. I could practically see the panic through her texts. Seriously? You said you left an hour ago. Where are you? Matt. Ugh. I was speeding to make it up to you, and I just got pulled over. Can you believe my luck? At this point, she was furious but still clinging to hope. Just get here as soon as you can, she snapped. Every second was delicious. I pictured her, makeup fading, sitting alone on the cold curb outside campus, watching buses drive by one after another, realizing she'd missed her last chance home. And the best part? She thought salvation was just around the corner. She thought her knight in shining armor was simply delayed. But the truth? Her Prince Charming didn't exist. The only person who was coming for her was reality. And I was about to deliver it in the most brutal way possible. Finally, after hours of stringing her along, I decided it was time to end the game. Matt sent one last message. Sorry, I don't go on dates with lying cheaters. Her. What? What are you talking about? Me. This isn't Matt. This is me. The silence that followed was deafening. Then the flood of messages started. Her. Wait. What? You guys know each other. Me. No. I made him up. I created Matt to see if you'd stay faithful. And surprise, you're still the same unfaithful liar you've always been. I could practically feel her panic through the screen. She tried backpedaling, typing excuses a mile long. I wasn't actually going to meet him, I swear. Yeah, right. Hours of flirting, setting up a date, sneaking behind my back, and suddenly she was never going to go through with it? Please. That was it for me. I told her flat out, don't talk to me again. And you better start walking, because you just missed your last bus. She didn't reply right away, but I knew what had happened. She was stranded, with no ride, no knight in shining armor, and no backup plan. Just her lies, and a long, dark walk home. 3 hours. That's how long it took her to make it back that night. 3 hours of replaying every choice she'd made, every word she'd lied, every excuse she'd given. A walk of shame so brutal that, months later, when she finally messaged me again, she admitted it was the lowest she had ever felt in her entire life. And you know what? That was the best I had ever felt in mine. She tried apologizing, tried crawling back, but I had already moved on. I told her we could maybe be friends, but that was it. She was stunned to realize that her little game, her so-called spark, meant nothing now. This wasn't just revenge, it was closure. Because in the end, the sweetest payback isn't screaming, or fighting, or even exposing someone. It's letting them destroy themselves while you stand back, watch, and smile. So yeah, once a cheater, always a cheater. And sometimes, the universe lets you give them the ending they deserve.